which I will be chairing. This is session 3 of our ARK event for Longevity Week 2021, Global Perspectives Across the Life Course. And to keep to time, we will move straight on to introduce the speakers, and I will just say a few opening words for this session before we begin. So we have Alex Zakranov, Joanna Benz, and Ali Khan. So only 3 speakers. We can breathe a little bit more in this panel. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us, and also for the audience. If you've just joined us, welcome. If you've been with us for the past 2 hours, do stretch your legs. It's healthy. I need to do that as well. But we've got a great panel coming up, changing tact a little bit, looking still with data, but perhaps how we can implement education about longevity to the public as well as to medical professionals, and what we can do in a community clinic setting rather than a medical clinic setting, and also the importance of an aging workforce. We know that the pension system is broken in many countries or globally. We will be working, but we will be healthier in our workplace and also happier. So how we can maintain productivity in the aging workforce. So really looking forward to our next 3 talks, and then we will have plenty of time for our panel discussion at the end. So to go ahead of time, amazingly, I'm going to hand straight over to Alex, who is joining us from the Far East. So thank you so much, Alex, for joining us today. Let me just spotlight you. There we go. It's always a pleasure to welcome Alex. He's spoken at our ARK events on numerous occasions, in person even in London, but today he is in the Far East. He's the CEO of In Silico Medicine and also Chief Longevity Officer of Deep Longevity, which we'll hear more about in the next session. So over to you, Alex. Welcome again. Thank you for joining us in your busy schedule.
Thank you, Richard, for making this generous invitation. I would like to thank the rest of the panelists and organizers for having me. I'm dialing in from Shanghai. I'm going to be talking today on behalf of Deep Longevity, the company I founded in 2019 as a spin-off of In Silico, which was spun off, independently funded, and then sold to a company called Region Pacific that later changed the name called into Endurance Longevity. It's publicly traded. And I'm going to be talking about longevity medicine and how to use AI to maintain optimal performance through the lifespan. And we've seen multiple ideas today that were introduced by previous panelists and speakers. I'm going to try to expand on some of them and talk a little bit about our work in the field. So first of all, no forward-looking statements, not an investment advice, either from In Silico or Deep Longevity, purely academic interest here. I have very limited time to talk about the emerging field of longevity medicine today. However, the field of medicine in general is going through an evolution, and it needs to evolve from treating aging as a normal process to treating aging as a manageable condition that we can optimize for the optimal performance during the entire lifespan. So currently, medicine is changing slowly but surely from disease-centric medicine to preventative medicine, and the next step will be longevity medicine. And in a traditional preventative medicine, doctors look at the patient in the context of their age range. So very often you come to a doctor and you see something like this. So they would say that, oh, you look great for your age. So they might be looking at many other patients of the same age, 60 to 70, for example, and they will be looking at the patient within that age range and the performance within that age range. So doctor's memory is actually quite limited to the engagement with a patient. Very few doctors stay with a patient, over extended courses course of lifespan, and currently they just do not have the recollection of the patient's performance, let's say 20 to 40, when they're looking at the patient 60 to 70. So they would be optimizing within the age range. And looking at how to prevent disease within that age range when some of the comorbidities already appeared. So if we are looking at preventing all kinds of diseases, I mean, there are multiple papers published on the subject. If you completely eliminate cancer currently or completely prevent cancer, you're going to be adding 2.3 years to average life expectancy in the US at birth, and 1.2 years at age 65. So it's not the real killer, and you really need to look at the multitude of diseases, but maybe you have to look beyond disease and look at the performance of the patient in the context of lifespan. And recent advances in multiple technologies, but primarily in artificial intelligence, allowed for the new field of longevity medicine to emerge. So that includes cutting-edge research, science, therapy, and diagnostics, participatory medicine, and also personalized science that is currently available predominantly to the rich, but is propagating to the mainstream slowly but surely. Also in Asia, where you cannot even pay with cash anymore, you have to use WeChat or Alipay or some other device or some other payment system. But we're transiting to digital money. Consumer companies are looking into this space quite a bit. There is an emerging field of biomarkers of aging and longevity, data-driven individualized prevention schemes. The insurance companies that have presented today are also looking at this field. And of course, AI makes it possible to look at the patient in the context of the entire lifespan. And there is also major breakthroughs in the field. So when I entered the field in 2004, 2003, 2004, there were even few books available on the subject. And since then, there have been multiple breakthroughs that are powering the industry. However, of course, it's not moving at the speed that we expected, 20 years ago, 18 years ago. But we see multiple advances that are converging and allowing us to slowly start developing the framework for longevity medicine and optimization during the entire lifespan. And of course, many of those advances are focused at how can we track aging in time, and how can we track the multitude of markers, not just on one data type like methylation, but also across the entire spectrum, the totality of features that change in time. And I think the emerging of deep aging clocks made it possible for us to converge multiple data types and look at the performance of the individual in the context of their entire lifespan. And currently, again, as I mentioned, the industry is going through an evolution. So we're going from geriatric medicine, preventative medicine, and precision medicine to aging clock, augmented medicine, and personalized science, going into longevity medicine. So longevity medicine needs to start from education and involvement of the patients. So currently what we see is that people are not necessarily interested in aging. There are very few of us on this call, and people generally ignore aging just because during the evolution, they've evolved to ignore this basic process of life, which leads to the imminent decline and death. And focus on different other priorities because they think that it's inevitable, and they don't want to give themselves false hope. So we definitely need to educate and involve and explain the recent advances. There needs to be anamnesis data analysis, so comprehensive anamnesis data analysis, comprehensive longitudinal diagnostics in the context of the entire lifespan. We need to start collecting the data cradle to cradle. It's great that there are national efforts and APPG for longevity. That's a true innovative effort in the UK that is basically putting the country on the map again as a leader in in this field, and multiple other countries are also joining the effort and looking at the UK as the benchmark. Also, the UK Biobank is an amazing platform. The aging clocks and the deep aging clocks are allowing us to identify longevity bottlenecks. So at some level, you might see clocks ticking at different rates and faster. So you need to identify those bottlenecks to ensure that you don't die of something stupid. There are personalized risk and benefit analysis interventions. So there are some groups that we are consulting and advising, and also tapping into think tanks that are looking at life as a resource and treating life as a financial asset, looking at risk and benefit analysis schemes for different interventions. Because currently there are no defined protocols for longevity treatments. And of course, we need to get an objective on how to slow down on reverse aging. So at Deep Longevity, we've developed the age metric score, which looks at the multitude of aging clocks and allow to incorporate the data as it becomes available and as the patient or customer feels comfortable with in terms of sharing this data. You can start from something as simple as surveys and go all the way as deep as molecular level, or even atomic organization level and terraformization and other forms of damage or change in the context of lifespan. And as you know, many physiological functions decrease with aging. So we need to have something that tracks those physiological changes. And what I have contributed to the field, and I think that's one of my probably most significant contributions. So in 2015, we started applying deep neural networks to all kinds of data types that change in life, in time, predominantly using publicly available data, longitudinal data. And we trained deep neural networks on just one feature, which is age. So on the input layer, you can have many, many different features going in, predominantly looking at features that are not directly related to chronological age. So in the context of biological data, we prioritize transcriptomics, proteomics data, and also very simple blood tests that I'm going to talk about today. Of course, methylation can be used. Imaging data can be used very well, more accurately than humans. We can now predict age using deep neural networks. We use behavioral data. Even psychological aging clocks can be developed using this particular approach. And you can also now, for the first time, incorporate features coming from very continuous data types like EEG, ECG, and combine them with the data types that you can collect periodically, like again, transcriptomics, proteomics, or even once in a lifetime genomics data. I'm not a big fan of that data type, and we do not collect that. What is great about deep neural networks is that you can actually do transfer learning. You can train on age and then retrain the deep neural networks on specific diseases. So for example, you can have one output feature that would be age that you're predicting. Another would be health status. So you can make multi feature classifiers, for example, different types of fibrosis. So that's how at Insilico we've discovered the first target that we're going after. We hope to go, maybe first in human sometime in the near future, with a target that was discovered using AI for the first time, and molecules were generated using AI. So that's using transfer learning. So you can actually use it for drug discovery. There's been a substantial body of literature that we've generated over time. So with the first publication of deep aging clock in 2016 using very simple blood tests. And then I think the most valuable clock that we've published and use a lot is the transcriptomic aging clock. Transcriptomics and proteomics allow you to identify features that can be turned into biological targets and pathways, or multi-targeting and polypharmacology. So something that you can use to be able to reverse some of the age-associated changes. And actually in 2016, 2017, we also did the work on nutraceuticals in that area, formulated that for life extension, launched. So there are some products on the market that were designed using this kind of hypothesis of reversing the aging phenotype at the cellular level. And 2020, we managed to publish the psychological aging clock, which predicts both the psychological age, that's the chronological age in the absence of disease, and also a feature that is absent in most other animals, which is subjective age. So that's how old do you feel? And we can now deconvolute those networks into specific features that can be modulated using different interventions, even like reading certain content. So experimenting a lot in this particular area. But I'm a big fan of hallmarks of aging. I think the hallmarks of aging can be extended. We age at the molecular, cellular, tissue level, organ level, systems level. I don't think there is one clock that can unite all of those at the same time. You know, you are your age. So the net totality of the changes at all those levels are essentially you. Even psychological aging can be also incorporated. What we do, we train deep neural networks on the data at the different levels and then try to incorporate that into a weighted average of those clocks and also show you individual clocks as we age. Then you can decipher those clocks into features and see what features could be perturbed in order to reverse the predicted age to the age of optimal performance. So the first clock that we've published was the deep biomarker of human aging using blood tests. So features that all the medical doctors are familiar with, like albumin, glucose, alkaline phosphatase, erythrocyte, urea, etc. So the list goes on. For the first one, we used 41 normalized markers and built a predictor that was 5.5 years accurate. And at that time, we saw that people who are predicted to be older, they're usually a little bit less healthy. There are some comorbidities. People who are predicted to be younger, they're athletes and are closer to the very healthy state. We launched a number of clocks. One is a very popular clock called Blood Age, 31 markers. Many clinics are using this one now, and some insurance companies are piloting. We've demonstrated that those clocks are very correlated with mortality in multiple populations. So if you are predicted to be 5 years or older, your probability of dying of any cause, so hazard ratio, increases in every population. If you are predicted to be younger than your chronological age, 5 years or even younger, your probability of dying of any age, of any cause decreases. So they are actually biologically relevant and could be used for all kinds of actuarial applications, and insurance companies might benefit from those, both from the enrollment perspective, monitoring, and even customer engagement. We've demonstrated that we can now build clocks on multiple data types, digital clocks, medical history clocks, mind age clock is coming up. It's 6.7 years accurate currently, so almost as good as I can predict everybody's age. HRV clocks are very useful. Methylation aging clocks are of course useful, but not as interpretable. And deep hematological aging clocks are mainstream workhorse clocks that we're now using, and deep transcriptomic clocks we're using for research. But we can partner on all the clocks with the objective of trying to reverse those clocks at every level to get to the stage of optimal performance. And of course, working with multiple stakeholders, clinics, insurance companies, employers, providers through deep longevity. And some of the insurance companies have presented here already. So we think that it's extremely important to build the ecosystem that will allow the medical institutions to partner with insurance companies to be able to create ecosystems where everybody's interests are aligned. So customers want to live longer, they want to feel younger, they want to acquire insurance products that allow them to achieve that goal, and medical institutions that enroll into the program and can benefit from the insurance companies as well. So we can provide for more accurate risk assessment and also even for customer engagement. They like to turn all kinds of age prediction exercises into a game. And I think that psychological aging clocks are a great way to do that. So we do it through Young AI and some other apps and allow for all kinds of pilots for insurance companies. of course, us and many other companies are now working, and academic institutions are now working with the clinics, because the ultimate judge for those aging clocks are medical doctors, and the industry cannot move faster than the medical doctor can. So we started piloting with multiple medical and also wellness providers all over the world. So Human Longevity, that's Craig Venter's company, and Wei Wu He's company, they actually invested in Deep Longevity originally, and then they are also using those clocks. And some of the really top institutions that are looking at personalized care are piloting or deploying those clocks. And using very simple AI techniques like self-organizing maps, we can now look at the multitude of features that can be optimized to achieve this age of optimal performance within what is possible, right? Of course, you cannot really make somebody who is 70-year-old immediately look like a 20-year-old on every level. You can actually do some plastic surgery, you can do some plastic surgery on blood, quote unquote, right? And try to optimize some markers. You can do the same with psychological aging clocks, but currently dramatic changes might not even be possible. So we actually look at how it's done with multiple features. And you can achieve feature ranking, feature importance, and kind of deconvolute those deep aging clocks into individual features, look at how much does individual feature contribute to the accuracy of the prediction, and also how much does it contribute to the predicted age in terms of the years. So in this case, you can, for example, try to put the patient on a specific diet or exercise routine, try to reduce glucose and triglycerides, etc., and basically get to even younger prediction. Now we see the emergence of new type of physicians pioneered by research physicians who participate in clinical trial development, work in longevity clinics, and at the same time are practicing physicians. Primarily, those are internists. One really great example is Dr. Evelyn Biskup. So, you know, Max Planck, MD, interned at Columbia and Harvard, and then practiced in Basel, and now practicing in Shanghai, and also as a longevity physician at Human Longevity. So she is monitoring a range of patients on the individual basis, trying to actually reverse the multiple aging clocks using very simple behavioral modifications or some supplement that are mainstream available, like, you know, NMN and NAR, and some other interventions, sleep medicine, to try to make the person age slower than chronologic aging, and try to shave off as many years as possible in the most gentle way as possible. Of course, some people are more experimental, but we try not to engage in any of those, you know, more hardcore experiments with drugs. But the objective of longevity medicine, now that we can decipher those clocks into features, is to try to get to the age of optimal performance. So deep neural networks can really monitor you in the context of the entire lifespan. And now we can look at how to transition from one age back at least, you know, one step. So from 60 to 70 to 50 to 60, or even 40 to 50. That can be achieved on multiple levels. Again, think of it as having plastic surgery on the face, but at the same time, plastic surgery on your blood. It does not necessarily make you younger, but at the same time, you would be able to at least move the clock one way or another. So deep neural networks allow you for that. Since my talk is very short, I would like to kind of introduce you to the longevity course, longevity medicine course. We've developed it last December, launched it. In the first couple of months, 2,500 MDs and other healthcare professionals signed up and started taking this course. Originally at Udemy, now it's available for free at longevity.degree. We're soon launching a 12-hour course, CME accredited, so if you're a physician, you actually benefit from it directly. Here is just a short history. So it's actually launched on HDR UK platform to upskill the medical community in the UK, and the NHS platform as well for free. And this course is available also in a form where you can narrate it using AI, so and translate it to different languages. It was freely launched in Chinese language as well. Again, you can go to www.longevity.degree and take this course. We're looking for volunteers and part-time MDs and PhDs, designers and educators who may be willing to engage in expanding this course and making it, localizing it, launching it with different institutions. So this content is freely available, and we're trying to train the physicians to be able to participate in clinical trials, run clinical trials using aging clocks, develop new aging clocks, and create this ecosystem between the insurance companies and medical institutions that is very necessary right now, and without which you would not be able to advance longevity in general. So thank you very much. Would be very happy to collaborate. I am a kind of an unpaid consultant right now to Deep Longevity, and we are very happy to collaborate with a variety of institutions.
That's great. Thank you so much, Alex. A wonderful overview as always. And it's great to hear about the success of longevity medicine. We'd be very happy to discuss this with you as we have in the past. And during your talk, I remembered we actually met first at Longevity Week many years ago, and we're back again.
At the first one.
At the first one. You coined the term. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alex. We'll see you at the panel discussion. Because of time, we'll move straight on to our next speaker, Joanna Benz, who will be telling us about the Longevity Center and also the International Institute of Longevity. So hand straight over to you, Joanna. And welcome again.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. I will share my screen. Hopefully it works. Can you see my slides?
No, we don't see your slides, Joanna.
I don't see my slides. Okay, maybe. Second, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I will see how can I change that.
If not, I am happy to share your slides.
Yeah, I think we might do that because I actually don't know. It should work, but
okay, if you give me one moment, I will do that. Okay, here we go, Joanna.
Sorry, no way.
Okay. You should see that.
Yeah. Thank you. Just making it larger. So yes, thank you very much for inviting me. And as you mentioned, I would like to talk about both. The topic of today's discussion is how we can internationalize longevity science, but also longevity medicine. We together with Prince Michael, who is my business partner, we are focusing on really creating an ecosystem of solutions in the field of longevity. And if we come to the next slide, sorry, Richard, for yes, we have started with Longevity Institute, and now since 2 years we are building also longevity clinics, where we feel this is what we felt was missing on the market, was actually enough practical applications in terms of some of the really interesting solutions that are slowly tested and slowly available to a wider public. And if we can go to the next slide. So what we have created an ecosystem of companies under Longevity Group logo, which on one side is a non-profit Longevity International Institute of Longevity, which is based in Liechtenstein, and also we have an office in Poland. And through the International Institute of Longevity, we are really bringing together different experts in the field to better understand the trends and potential, and communicate the main needs, but also trying to find solutions. Like we have already mentioned, insurance companies I think this is one of the most important aspects. How can we make longevity solutions more widely available, and also find a better systemic solution for our customers. And then we have also created longevity clinics, and I would like to share some of our experiences from the last 2 years of our activity in Europe. Soon, early next year, we're opening also another center, which we call Longevity Wellness. We are planning a number of those centers around mainly Europe, which are going to be presenting interventions to and lifestyle solutions to what we are identifying in the clinics as a need for living healthier longer. Can we go to the next slide? So our scientific advisory board is consisting of really top experts in the field. Dr. Eric Vertin is a well-known expert in the field of longevity, but also we are working with Dr. Mario Martinez, who is neuropsychologist. And as we already heard a few times, we are not focusing only, and it's very important for us not to focus only on the physical health, but also include expertise, knowledge, and technology that is helping us to understand the mindset and also the psychological safety. One of our advisors is also Dr. Stefan Katsikas, who is not only an investor in the field, but also a scientist, and is leading a company that is investing in the area of preventive personalized medicine, but also now longevity. Next slide. So in terms of the Longevity Center, we are focusing mainly on different aspects that are already available in terms of understanding our current state of health, so that we can influence it and also propose interventions that are going to help our clients to manage their lifestyle, but also their health in a most effective way. So we are focusing on, we have an integrative approach. We have a number of different doctors in different fields, but also psychologists, dietitians, and physiotherapists that are working together to better understand the current state of health. We are using different scientifically already tested solutions. Some of them are already medical devices, but a lot of diagnostics, like for example, biological age, they are still not considered to be a medical solution or the medical device, but are a very effective tool for the doctors to use, and also for the clients, for our patients, which we are trying to rather call clients, not to become patients, to engage in their day-to-day life. Next slide, please. So this is one of our centers. We are also trying to create centers that are not really looking like typical medical clinics. We are part of what we do is also a lot of education. Our clients need to understand why we want them to live longer. This is also one of the aspects that I think it's also very necessary at the moment as well, to not only to explain where we are with the science, but also to explain what does it actually bring for the client to test their biological age? How is it going to change their well-being? How can we influence it? And why do we want to influence it? Next slide, please. So this is more or less our client journey. We are trying to understand first your lifestyle choices, your current lifestyle decisions, but also understanding your epigenetics, genetics, and also biological testing, using different biological markers to understand biological, but also your physiological, your psychological age, and then creating personalized plan of interventions that can be introduced in order to bring the biological age and also to find, as Alex nicely said, bottlenecks. We actually call it we call it weak links, because there's no one biological age that is able to tell us today everything about our clients' current state of health. So we are looking at a number of available tools that are already used in the preventive medicine, but also in the longevity medicine. And first, this set of markers and set of tests are giving us a really very wide understanding of clients' current state of health, and we can prepare a personalized journey. Next slide, please. We're very much focusing on hallmarks of aging and trying to address each and every of those hallmarks through our tests. Next slide, please. And have created our own personalized client journey that we constantly update and upgrade depending on technologies that are more and more available and new solutions that are available in the field of longevity, but also in other fields of preventive medicine, of diagnostics, of prevention that are actionable. Because for us, the most important in choosing the right diagnostic is really to have the possibility to influence them. So we are focusing on metabolic health, on hormonal health, on cognitive performance, but also cardiological health, and as well as genetic predisposition and epigenetic expression. Next slide, please. These are some of the biological age, biological, but also physiological age aspects that we are measuring. We are testing, we are looking at the immune age and cognitive age, in cardio age, but also we're using epigenetic clock and glycan age. Currently, we are developing and testing something we called biocognitive age, which is really as centenarian consciousness index that we have developed together with Dr. Mario Martinez, and are currently in the process of evaluating and testing it. And we want to also validate it soon. So currently, this is work in progress, which is really on one side a self-assessment of and also assessment of your mindset and how your mindset influence your aging process, and whether this is based on studies on centenarians that Mario Martinez was involved in, but also different studies that were done by Blue Zones and other international studies on centenarians. Next slide, please. We are also involved in clinical testing. There is, and I think it was already mentioned, there is more and more interest in international collaboration in this field, and I think this is one of the most important aspects. We can go as far with our own doctors' experience and the clients that we are meeting, but at the moment, the most important aspect to progress in the field is really to find a much wider collaboration with other clinics focusing on longevity medicine, on longevity solution, in clinical applications, that we can find more interventions and also better correlation of various aspects of health. We are focusing not only on metabolic health, but also sleep health, psychological assessment, cognitive performance, and actually the most interesting correlations that are influencing various aspects of biological ages that we're using are somewhere in between. So there's still a lot, I think, to learn, and definitely the AI solutions and using data analytic tools is one of the most important aspects in what we are currently investing. Next slide. We are also introducing a new model of creating our new longevity centers. We are planning to have about 20 longevity centers in Europe in the next 5 years. We are just opening our second one in Germany, which is going to be in one of the top hotels in Germany. Next slide. And again, longevity medicine and also medicine focusing on well-being for us also presents a new opportunity of really redefining how we look at health. We believe that client engagement was mentioned many times, and this is one of the most important success factors. So what we believe is really a need for combination of wellness, well-being, and health solutions. And also in terms of successful and client engagement, we have to also create an environment where health is going to be fun as well. And it's not going to be only an obligation and a need and something that I have to do, but really fun and also part of our day-to-day routine. Next slide, please. What we also do, we are investing a lot in training. A lot of our clients are corporates or they're CEOs and middle management. So we created also a platform where we are organizing trainings with focusing on epigenetics, focusing on how to manage your health, how to use wearable devices, but also how to focus on psychological safety and how your mindset, your way of thinking is influencing you as a person, but also you as a leader. So this is also an additional aspect to what we are doing. Next slide. And in terms of international growth of the sector, where we are identifying and we see the biggest challenge, but also potential and a need is what Alex already mentioned, is a need to train the trainers and train the doctors and to provide a unified training in terms of longevity science, in terms of also experience of some of the longevity clinics, and training of doctors so that they not only focus on their own specialization as currently most of the doctors do, but also see a wider aspects of health and know how to use biological clocks, for example, how to use some of the potentials that are already available from the longevity science. What is also very important is creation of international standards of methods, diagnostics, interventions that we are using, and also sharing an international collaboration between clinics, but also between medical doctors, and also exchanging of validated interventions that will be on one side standardized, but also further developed. And what we also need, and we are getting more and more involved, is joint research and development programs between clinics, but also technology providers, and also providers of different solutions, like we have mentioned nutrition as one of the solutions. In order to understand how to personalize nutrition, we have to have good way to measure on one side different aspects of our metabolic health, but then also how to measure results of those interventions. So definitely we see a big need for cross-sector collaboration to connect experience of food producers, pharma, but also insurance technology, AI companies, hospitality sector, and also wellness experts.
Joanna, sorry, can I ask you to stop in just 1 minute, please?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're now over time. Thank you.
So, and then through Longevity Institute, we are also engaging and trying to create also a platform for a discussion. So we have every year we are organizing a roundtable where we are discussing different topics that of interest. For example, last year we did one on biomarkers of aging, and we are now going to be issuing a white paper summarizing experience, but also the future of biomarkers of aging. And I think this is my last slide, Richard. Oh yeah, this is just mentioning our roundtables. And with that, I can conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Wonderful overview of both the Institute and also Longevity Center. Looks very exciting for the next few years. Because of time, we're going to move straight on to Ali Khan, who's our third speaker in this session, and he's going to be talking about the aging workforce and happiness. Over to you, Ali. I'm just going to put you on the screen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much. Good to see everybody again, and thank you, Joanna, for the context of the amazing work that you're doing to bring the work of longevity to life. Alex, I have to come to you for building a time machine. The work you're doing with all those clocks is fantastic, and I can see so much utility in so much of the work that I do, and I'm sure for many others. So thank you. Let me share my screen and get my presentation underway. So just to quickly check, Richard and team, you can see my screen?
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Ali.
All right, lovely. So I will just take a few minutes on this because I want to give way to the team on the panel discussion. I'm here today to talk about happiness and health of the aging workforces. So our view is looking at the dimension of the full spectrum of aging and its impact on specifically the employee populations. It's very rare you get to actually bring new science to the world. And what we are doing is, as you'll hear at the very end of this talk, if I can keep you engaged and excited away from your lunch just for a little bit longer, is that we are also bringing some work that's going to contribute towards some new discovery. And we think that's going to lead to some incredibly good policy generation for both personalized lifestyle management and much more beyond that, immense performance. And really what we're trying to do is, if we think about employers, we are fundamentally as employers trying to help our employees perform better. Whether it happens to be investing in their well-being, in their psychological health, or it happens to be supporting them in their personal lives, ultimately the gain, as much as I come across as sounding crude, it's ultimately about keeping people performing at their peak. So what we do at Shape is we help companies create those environments, those conditions that will help those employees perform better. So if we think about the markers of what helps us understand whether a person is performing well, we start to think about things like, do they live in a positive culture? Are they feeling supported? And as you go down this long list over here and all the way around, you start to see some positive things. They may have great job clarity. They may feel that they've got good opportunities ahead of them. Or personally, they could be over exerting themselves in their workload, or they've got a high amount of stress at any one point in time, which leads to burnout and negativity, so their performance starts to fall down. And not only do we know that these markers tell us a lot about these people, we can actually quantify this. So 0 is bad, 100 is great, where are you in the middle? So we've been doing a lot of work on this as well. But the reality is that these people don't just feel or affect their own performance. They actually have an informed impact on the environment around them. And the environment also has an impact on them, positively or negatively. So if we take this a little bit further, what are those impactors from the environmental perspective on that person's performance? And you can see here, it's about things like the culture. Do they feel dignified? Are they getting the right kind of collaboration experience? Or is there toxicity around them? And what about tangible things like the environment, the systems, the internet, the meetings they're in, what they wear? All of these things impact that person at the psychological level as well. So if we can find a way to quantify all of this, we can start to understand how much of this is impacting that person from a different dimension. Now, here's some real data. Now, here I'm going to present 3 examples. We'll go around the world, start with the UK. This is real data from a client of ours in the UK. And you can see here that the scores that we collected for the various different questions that we're asking them, and these are highly trained questions that give you the best indicative view of where they are with that particular topic. So if we look at here, I'll just highlight some of these areas here, like tired, lack of sleep. That's a midpoint score. So these are the top 25 issues for this company, for their people. And then you've got financial pressure, stress, nutrition, and they're not doing so well in their mental health. Now, here's another example, company in Malaysia, similar kind of issues, but maybe a few more. So you can see that they've got problems with nutrition, physical activity, and other stressors like psych health as well. And here's a company in Australia, and the kind of issues they're facing are coming across sleep and nutrition. But I actually just want to go back and show you something else. If you look at the traditional measures that a lot of companies are providing when they're looking at companies' employees and performance, they're actually limiting their view just to the areas that I've highlighted. What we've been doing is looking at all of those other factors. And when we think about the previous slide, it gives us that overarching view of what's really happening. And when you look at this again, and this, you start to see there's so much more that we're not collecting from blood samples, and we're not collecting from standard questionnaires. Now, of course, now within SHAPE, we also have health age being provided to each individual person. But what we do is we also provide that in a packaged metric at the team and the company level as well. So how is everybody doing on aggregate? So that trajectory, can we change it? And with the kind of work that I think not just Alex and our team here have talked about today, we're also seeing that many others who have talked today are contributing in their way towards getting that trajectory for aging to slow down. So certainly we're looking at things like lifestyle. We can also go and look at genetics, but we're also now starting to look at the world of epigenetics. So how do people respond to certain stressors? And then from a SHAPE perspective, we're also bringing the work environment, as we've seen. We can measure that psychological safety. And we can also look at being inspired by concepts within genetics like IXE, so the individual in an environment as opposed to the genetics in an environment. So where does this lead us? If we bring together the 12 areas that we can measure within SHAPE at a company level with that extra view of information that we don't normally collect, and bring together that view with epigenetic information, we can start to take some new insights and new measures of what is affecting a person's performance as evidenced by their epigenetic age. So we're starting to bring together this in a packaged approach, and really proud to say for the first time we're announcing that 4 companies or 2 institutions, 2 companies are coming together. We've got Mudo Health, who are a provider of epigenetic testing. So together with their epigenetic profiling of employees, together with shapes data of the company, we'll start to correlate and find some new 3D and high quality insights. And this will be done in coordination with Richard and the team at the ARK, the Aging Research at King's team. And we've got some fantastic collaborators over there supporting us in a 3-year thesis to really extract the value from that and bring it to the world. And then really proud to say that we've got the University of Zurich and their team also getting involved to make sure that we're on the right track from a quality perspective and new insights being added as well. So we're at the beginning of this journey. We're about to start next year, and this is an open invite to anybody who'd like to be involved from either the corporate or the institutions out there who would like to contribute or see some of the work that we're doing. We'd be more than happy to talk. So when it comes to new science, again, we think we're going to be bringing the combination of great, powerful questions, looking at this from multiple different perspectives. The kind of issues that are being seen in different countries will lead to different types of insights, which will then lead us to different type of interventions that we can then make the most impactful reaction in the behavior change, and therefore on positively on their health profiles. We can measure all of that, and we've got to deeply analyze all of that. But the really exciting piece, I think, is that we're going to be developing new policies, both at the macro company level, at the manager level, and at the individual, what can they do for themselves? And then ultimately, all of this is about taking this great work that we do and turning it into action. So that's me today. I'll stop there, Richard, and ask you to come back and hopefully jump to the panel.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ali. Of course, Joanna and also Alex, I'm going to put you on the screen as part of the panel, and of course myself, if I can manage to do that. There we go. Okay, we're all back together. So we do have just a very few minutes, I'm afraid, for any questions or comments from the audience. My main question, maybe I can get the ball rolling, is accessibility to everything that we've said. In the workplace, in the community, in the clinic, or even medical education, or education at the supermarket level. How can we make it accessible to the population who actually will more benefit from it? It can't be something that is high cost. It has to be available and also understood by all. So that's the education element. Any thoughts on that? Maybe Ali, since you've just spoken and you had the shortest spot, so I can give you a few more seconds.
Thank you very much. You're right. There, a lot of science is scary for a lot of the corporate world. And when we think about the expression of science, we've got to simplify that in a language working back from the audience, rather than actually necessarily getting them to understand complex, markers within the epigenetics. And that's why I try to stay away from that. But equally so, it's an important piece that they've got to understand. I'm always in awe every time I hear Alex talk about, the bringing that science together in a meaningful and impactful way. So I think there's a balance here between educating people to get to them to a place where they're comfortable, but also getting them to move beyond, a little bit beyond their comfort zone, because that's where the real value drivers are going to come from.
Great, thank you, Ali. Any other comments, Joanna?
Well, I think this was already mentioned in this panel and also in the previous panel, longevity was considered to be an expensive solution still a few years ago. And I really liked what Alex showed, the history of the developments. And I think now we can really see that there's more and more markers that are, let's say, more and more easily available. And also, you know, like it's, and this is why we started as well in places like Poland, so that we can really do a proof of concept and use some of the solutions that are already available, but still the cost of labor and so on, it's different. But even in the short time, you know, like we see that there's more and more markers that are more financially available and are giving us enough knowledge to start, because you don't have to do everything at once. I mean, the most important thing is to do the first step and then see how it works, and then know what kind of interventions to use. But I think what I see the future is really to make to find more and more markers that are going to be effective, but much more financially available.
Alex.
Oh, sure. I think that nothing is more accessible than free, right? So whatever we're doing at Deep Longevity, we try to make it as accessible as possible. And usually, at least when we're piloting, it's always free. And then we kind of segment it into different tiers. So when a more expensive marker is required, I mean, you cannot really provide it for free, right? So you need to be able to charge something for it. That's why we decided to create this multitude of clocks, some of which are free, like, for example, a survey. So there we just pay for compute, right? And provide you with insights into your psychological and mental health and the mental age to make you more happy, more creative. If you have retrospective blood tests, you can upload them as well, and in an anonymized manner, and also see how to optimize. However, if you want to have advice, you go to a physician and maybe interact with a physician at any level. So we try to make those clocks as available as possible. The education is free. So longevity.degree, it's a free platform. You can get actually free CME accredited courses. And I must say that there are multiple initiatives out there that are focused specifically on making this technology as available as possible. Like, for example, the recent Longevity Science Foundation that came to be thanks to the efforts of a very longtime friend and supporter of the community, Gary Zmudze, and a few others. So they are utilizing advances in different cryptocurrencies and different new fundraising modes and distribution modes, benefits distribution modes that make the technology accessible to the individuals, and possibly kind of early access. You might want to pay for it. As the technology becomes more validated, it becomes free. So I hope that with those new funding methods and new schemes for engaging people, we will have more advances in this area. Of course, we definitely need to have government involved. And again, deep bow to people like Tina Woods, yourself, Richard, and many others who are put UK on the map again, and also are innovating in different countries to make it more accessible. I really hope that China steps in, and once that country steps in, it becomes free immediately, right? Because the ultimate goal of the government in that country is common benefit, common good, common prosperity, common longevity. So hopefully that will propagate worldwide. And I think that it's extremely important for all of us to be very academically minded and publish our research free and make it accessible from perspectives and opinions all the way to the very deep molecular research. So I think all of us are here also for free. Thanks for everybody for being here. What really frustrates me is that there are so few of us. So we need to ensure that the public is engaged and more motivated.
Sure. Well, I think many will be joining via the recording afterwards. So we have the worldwide audience, and we also have this in prosperity with the recording. So thank you so much to all of you for your time and also excellent comments. You make a good segue to the next session, because we do have Gary from Longevity Science Foundation, who's going to be telling us about his new initiative. And also the importance of education as well through academics, publishing. We're very pleased that a journal supporting this event, Frontiers in Aging, and you're all welcome to submit your work to that journal, and we'll be providing more details to that as well. I realized that we do have a few questions in the Q&A box. I can ask anyone to answer those online through the chat box, please. We don't have time to do that. So thank you very much again, Ali, Alex, Joanna, for great presentations. Not enough time as always, but we welcome you to come back to ARK in person, hopefully very soon, where we can have a more extended session. So thank you very much to all of you again.